Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Twins Ticket Podcast. I am your host, Tom Froming, aka TF Twins. We're going to talk about, in depth, about the St. Paul Saints. That's going to be kind of the theme, setting up a structure for myself. The first Monday of the month, we're going to be talking about my updated prospect list. And on the second Monday of the month, I want to talk just a deep conversation about the St. Paul Saints. I really want to get into some deep conversations about the Saints team because I think it's a really fun team on its own right. Whether or not guys are going to be promoted or not, whatever, there's a lot of fun players on that ball team. So that's what we're going to get into. That's going to be the main focus of this episode. But I do want to start off with a leading off segment. This is going to be a segment where I allow myself some space to discuss a topic other than that main prepared theme of the episode. And I would like to just take a moment to talk about the Twins bullpen. There was a point during the struggles where the bullpen was blowing a few games early on there. It was a sliver. It was a sliver of the fan base that was really reveling in it, that the bullpen was not doing a great job. And there was a lot of people who questioned Fangraphs putting this bullpen as the number one unit in the league. Fangraphs had the Twins as the highest preseason WAR projection. That kind of raised a lot of eyebrows from certain segments of this fan base. And during that time when the Twins were struggling, I saw quite a bit of things like, well, there's your best bullpen in the league for you. You know, people being very condescending, you know, the old, the real Minnesota nice, passive aggressive reactions to those. Well, look at them now, baby. Look at them now. Look at that Twins bullpen now. The Twins lead the league in reliever WAR. They are the best bullpen in baseball right now in terms of Fangraphs wins above replacements. They rank 8th in ERA, 3rd in FIP, 2nd in xFIP, and 3rd in strikeout minus walk percentage. So they're having a great year so far. During this 8-game winning streak, the Twins have won 4 one-run games and a 2-run game. This month, just since the start of May, I know it's only the 12th, but the Twins relievers rank 1st in FIP, xFIP, Sierra, and 2nd in strikeout minus walk percentage. They had a ridiculously good homestand this week as the Twins won all 6 of their games. So shout out to the bullpen. Basically, unless a bullpen is perfect, which none of them are, there's always so much complaining about bullpens. Bullpens are going to give up runs sometimes. It's just the nature of the beast. It's going to happen. So I think you really got to, I try to go out of my way to pay attention to when those units are really performing and give them their flowers. Give them their flowers because, you know, it's not always going to be good, but even great bullpens falter sometimes. You know, we're probably due for a blow up here. I'm probably cursing them right now. Shout out to the Twins bullpen for looking awesome. All right. Let's transition into our main topic, which is the St. Paul Saints. And just going to have a big conversation about them, talk about the rotation, talk about the bullpen, and then talk about some of the hitters because I feel like the hitting has really been at the forefront. Mickey Gasper and Carson McCusker are doing crazy things recently for them. But let's talk about just overall and wins and losses. You know, because I think you can be a St. Paul Saints fan every bit as much as you can be a Minnesota Twins fan. I've actually been to CHS Field more than I've been at Target Field the past couple of years. Now, part of that is I think that's a more friendly, family-friendly stadium, a more kid-friendly stadium, and I love to take my kids there. But there's a lot of other things that I love about CHS Field. I'll probably do a video sometime kind of talking about that more deeply, but currently, the Saints are 20-15 despite having a -1 run differential. They went 5-1 this past week versus Buffalo at CHS Field in St. Paul, but the one loss was a score of 17-3. So that series kind of mirrored their year where they went 5-1, but they had such a lopsided loss. A 17-3 loss was the one loss. The Saints traveled to Des Moines to play the Iowa Cubs this week. They're off on Mondays, like all the minor leagues are except for, I should say, all the full season minor league affiliates are off on Mondays, and then they play a full 6-game series. The FCL Twins play on Mondays. That's a short season league, though. The Saints have the second best OPS in the International League. That's the league that they're in AAA, at 797. So as a unit, that lineup has an OPS just a shade under 800, which is pretty impressive, I think. Let's talk about the rotation, though. Who's in this rotation right now? Well, I'll read you through the starters this week. Starting with Tuesday, it was David Festa, followed by Andrew Morris, then Corey Lewis, Marco Raya, Zebby Matthews, and Travis Adams yesterday on Sunday made his first start of the season. He's been sort of their long man out of the bullpen. A guy who's on the 40-man roster, Travis Adams. So the Twins are also trying to kind of keep him prepped for potentially coming up and maybe providing some depth for them out of the bullpen. So it's been interesting to see how he's been used. But he did start on Sunday. Darren McCusker, who we saw a bit with the Twins earlier, he's made 3 of his last 4 appearances in relief. So he's kind of in this rotation picture, but not really making starts at the moment. That may change. And then Randy Dobnak is also in this picture, but he's on the injured list. Of those guys, those are a lot of familiar names. It's super fun that there's such a homegrown prospect feel to this Saints rotation. That is not normal for how the Twins have had AAA. I don't think that's very normal for AAA, period. You see a lot of kind of journeymen and a lot of guys who've been in the major, your Darren McCusker and kind of Randy Dobnak types. You see a lot of those type of guys in AAA. That's changed a little bit the past couple of years. There have been some minor league roster rules that have changed some, and I feel like it's kind of benefited sort of younger guys. But this is also just the result of the Twins having such a deep pitching crop and couple draft classes over the past few years. So really fun to see all these guys that, I've been watching since their careers began. And, if you watch the system recaps on my YouTube channel, you have as well. We were paying attention to these guys when they were down in Fort Myers. Every day there's somebody who I'm interested in watching pitch for the Saints. And like I mentioned, that has not been the case in AAA in the past. One thing I want to call out in specific, or if we're talking about, specific players, there's definitely bright spots. David Festa and Zebby Matthews are just chilling on ice, ready to go at any moment's notice when the Twins need them. That is such a luxury that I don't know if I can ever remember that being the case for the Minnesota Twins, to have 2 major league ready starting pitchers in AAA that you don't have room for. It's such a luxury. And I think it's a really good reason to be optimistic about this Twins team and their chances of, remaining competitive. Finally got above 500 yesterday. This pitching staff is going to keep them in a lot of games. But unfortunately, Marco Raya is off to a really, really rough start. He's the guy that got beat up in the 1 loss this week. In 13 innings, Raya has surrendered 18 runs on 28 hits and 13 walks. He's only thrown 57% of his pitches for strikes, down from 63% last year. But he is still only 22 years old. Marco Raya is still only 22 years old, but he is still a young guy. I'm interested to see in how he can turn things around. Really competitive dude, so we'll see how he takes this challenge, but it's not been good. Corey Lewis has also struggled. He's pitched out of the bullpen quite a bit, but again started on Thursday this week. He has an 8.53 ERA in 19 innings pitched. So there's some good and there's some bad, but it's a really exciting rotation. Even those guys that aren't pitching well, I still go out of my way to want to see those guys throw and see how they're going to get better from outing to outing. Moving on over to the bullpen, something that strikes me about this bullpen is some of these guys are fireballers. Man, some of these guys have huge velo. Alex Spees, who has appeared in 4 MLB games over the prior 2 years, I should say. So just a couple cups of coffee, in the big leagues. He has topped out at 100.9 miles per hour. That's Alex Spees out of the Saints bullpen. Jacob Bosiokovic, hopefully I got that one right. I've been practicing that one. I've heard the Saints broadcast team say his name a few times. It's a mouthful, though. He is topped out at 99.7 miles per hour. He's an interesting story, too. He was a hitter the first 3 years of his minor league career, was a Cardinals prospect, and then when that wasn't really going so great, they had him try pitching, and here he is a step away from the big leagues. He's a bit older, but you understand, spending some time as a hitter. that sort of slowed his progression as a pitcher. This is his first year and Alex Spees' first year in the organization. Ryan Jensen, though, is another guy. That's the third guy who's hit 99. He topped out at 99.1 miles per hour so far this year. He's in his second year with the Saints. He has 97 strikeouts in 69 innings since joining St. Paul. That's a 12.7 K per nine over these 2 seasons with the Saints. These guys are really, this stuff is amazing. As you might guess from AAA guys who throw real hard, command isn't excellent. They walk quite a few guys, but I'm excited to watch those guys pitch. I enjoy watching those guys pitch. And one interesting storyline to keep an eye on in the Saints bullpen is Michael Tonkin. Michael Tonkin started a rehab assignment on April 18th. We haven't seen him with the Twins yet this year. He started the year injured. He's ramping back up. The max time for a rehab assignment for a pitcher is 30 days. So we're coming up on that here for Michael Tonkin. And it has not been good. He's given up 4 home runs and 8 earned runs in 9 2/3 innings on this rehab assignment. Velo was way down in his last outing. I don't know what's going to happen. But again, this Twins bullpen is rolling. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's looking good. You can't put Michael Tonkin in this big league bullpen right now. Now, a lot can change between now and that 30-day marker, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on this week. They're going to want to get him out there, take a look and see how he pitches. That could be a huge differentiator of what's going to happen with Michael Tonkin. All right, now moving on to the Saints lineup. Again, I referenced it earlier, Mickey Gasper and Carson McCusker. Is this Mario and Luigi? Can we roll with that? Mickey Gasper has been embracing that persona, doing kind of the Mario jump when he breaking bricks as Mario as a celebration. And with that mustache, he looks exactly like Super Mario, as much as a ball player I've ever seen for sure. And then McCusker, he's had a mustache in the past. I don't think he's rocking one right now. But, Luigi, a big, long, skinny dude. McCusker, a big, long... It works. It works. I might be stretching it a bit now that McCusker doesn't have the stash, but it works still. Mario and Luigi. The Super Mario Brothers, just for going off. Mickey Gasper has 6 home runs in 10 games with the Saints. And if we include all of his AAA, in 80 career AAA games, Gasper has 15 homers and a 1,005 OPS. So an OPS over 1,000 and more walks than strikeouts in AAA. So, why is it that he can do this in AAA and he can't do it in the major leagues? The concept of a quad A player is a real thing. But you have to consider, too, these guys, it's not like they're playing the same role. So maybe Mickey Gasper just has a tough time adjusting to being like a part-time bench guy. Or it can even be as simple as some guys don't do as well when they hit down in the order. If you're hitting third, you're getting out there and you're getting a plate appearance in the first inning every game. Whereas if you're down in the lineup, it can take some time to get an at bat in. And some guys, doesn't matter. Some guys that can impact them. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Carson McCusker, 10 home runs in 33 games this year to go with a 1058 OPS. This is crazy. He is a big guy with lots of power. So I don't want to make it sound like, this is completely unexpected. And he's always had impressive exit velos too, in addition to power. But he did hit 19 home runs in 122 games last season. So 19 in 122 games last year, 10 in 33 this year. So this is a brand new Carson McCusker we're seeing. He is on fire, seeing the ball like it's a beach ball. I think his plate appearances are getting better as well. I'm not somebody who's really been banging the Carson McCusker drum a ton. I've seen him a lot, and there's a lot to be concerned about. But this guy's on can you even call a 33 game stretch a hot streak? At that point, that's not just a hot streak. This guy's just playing good baseball. And I don't think it's just sort of I don't think he's going to keep this pace up, but I think this is a little bit of a new look Carson McCusker. He turns 27 in 10 days. So I've seen some kind of misconceptions out there regarding sort of who this guy is as a prospect, and how the Twins are treating him. A lot of people have seen who obviously don't know him. I've seen multiple times people suggest this is a service time thing, and it's like, no. This guy's 26. He's about to turn 27. The Twins don't want his, they're not worried about his age 33, 34 season here, folks. So that has nothing to do with it at all. I can, as confidently as I can say that, I can say that. So it's not a service time thing. And I think that's an odd talking point to throw out in a season that we saw Luke Keeschel make his major league debut. I don't think that's a thing. If the Twins are really into a guy, I don't think that's going to be much of a consideration, is what the Luke Keeschel promotion tells us. But Carson McCusker, some of the most impressive exit velos. Again, he has 3 balls in excess of 114 miles per hour of an exit velocity this year. He had a 115 mile per hour home run yesterday at CHS Field. Just crushing it. Super fun. McCrusher is what Saints broadcaster Sean Aronson is trying to get across. That's the nickname he's trying to push. I like it. Carson McCrusher. It's simple, but it's good. I like it. I think, keep sticking with Gasper and McCusker, the Mario and Luigi theme. I think it's easier to watch a guy like Gasper and kind of just purely enjoy his success at AAA. It's kind of a respite for him from struggling in the major leagues now. And he's had that chance. If Mickey Gasper never gets back to the major leagues, at least he can always call himself a major leaguer. Carson McCusker can't do that yet. And I think that's what kind of speaks to me about his story right now, is I can kind of see the Twins' view of, we don't think it would go well if we promoted him. That's what we're being told, essentially, by some of these transactions, is that they're saying, yeah, he's doing this, but we don't think he can do this up here or anything close to it. I can kind of see that, to be completely honest. But I would just be it would be crushing. Sticking with the McCrusher. Speaking of crushing, it would be crushing if this guy never gets a chance in the major leagues. Now, that's kind of a dramatic jump to take at this point in time. I think it is going to happen for him, but you never know. Of anybody, Twins fans are going to take injuries into account when thinking about some kind of potential storyline. In a disaster scenario, I really want Carson McCusker. I don't know that it would go well, but I really want Carson McCusker to be a major leaguer. He deserves it. And I think it's good for morale, too, for the other guys at AAA to see that, hey, this guy who is unheralded, signed out of indie ball, comes up, does his job, gets better, keeps grinding, keeps getting better, refines his game, and then when he shows that he is ready, he gets a shot. I think that's a great message to show. Whereas if he doesn't get a look and you keep claiming dudes, I don't think that's going to be good for morale. Speaking of morale, Ryan Fitzgerald seems like a guy who is good for morale. 30-year-old utility man who's been the Saints shortstop this season. He's basically only played shortstop for the Saints. He's played a ton elsewhere throughout his career. This is his first year with the Saints, but he has 385 AAA games under his belt, mostly with Boston's AAA affiliate, a little bit with Kansas City last year. He's never played in the majors. So a 30-year-old guy with 385 AAA games under his belt. He's a former undrafted free agent signed out of indie ball who is hitting .319 with a .418 OBP and a .513 slugging. That's a .931 OPS for Ryan Fitzgerald. So he's also in that conversation of another guy I would love to see get an opportunity in the big leagues. It's probably harder to envision that happening on the infield than maybe an outfield DH type guy. But Ryan Fitzgerald, again, you can enjoy him on the Saints without having to really think, oh, well, he doesn't really have a path to major leagues. You can still watch this guy. There's no rules against not being able to enjoy these players who are on the St. Paul Saints who maybe don't have much of an avenue to the major leagues. And it's hard to see for Ryan Fitzgerald, but he's holding up his end of the bargain. Give him credit. So yeah, he's another name I wanted to call out and talk about a bit. Jefferson Morales, just a fun player. Little guy, but hits lasers all over the place. He was a sire of Fort Myers this year, had a great spring training with the Twins, made it all the way through spring training. Was one of the final cuts. He's hitting .290 with a .394 OBP and a .467 slugging. That's an .861 OPS. Now, for his career, he has a 912 OPS and 51 AAA games. Does Jefferson Morales. Mostly playing left field, but has made 3 starts at second base as well. He has a little bit of experience in the infield, so they're kind of trying some things with him. I think that's interesting, but that's another guy I just really enjoy. I've seen Jefferson Morales play for so long now, and he's missed a lot of time, so it's not like he's played a ton of games on the way up. But it's so cool to see him peaking in AAA. Like, this is as best as he's played, and it's in AAA. So it's just cool that he's managed to stick around and continue to get opportunities. I'm going to talk about Anthony Prado. I'm not going to last too long without talking about Anthony Prado. I decided today that he's like my Willie Castro of the minor leagues. Just a guy I just really enjoy. I think he's a winning ball player. Does a lot of small things. He's hitting .311 with a .417 OBP and an .860 OPS this year. Playing time's been a little bit harder for him to get. He's more of a bench guy this year, but he started 8 games at second base, 6 in center field, and 2 in right field. He's played all over in his career. He does have a start at third base as well this year. He turned 27 yesterday. So he's another guy in that picture where I would love to see Anthony Prado even just come up for a cup of coffee, because I really think he deserves to be a big leaguer as well. He has a .405 on-base percentage in 203 career AAA games. So Anthony Prado, 200 AAA games under his belt, and he has a .400 OBP. The dude is a ball player, gets on base, runs the base as well, is a Willie-like kind of chaos on the bases in that he's really aggressive, makes some good decisions, puts a lot of pressure on the defense, makes plays in the field too. I just really appreciate Anthony Prado. And then, wanted to call out Emmanuel Rodriguez, the big prospect on the Saints right now. He homered twice this weekend, so it's really good to see him getting going. He has a .429 OBP and a .524 slugging so far this month. He is also, speaking of Marco Ryan, kind of saying, we could kind of give him a bit of a free pass here. It's very early. He's only 22. You can say that for Emmanuel Rodriguez too, and he's actually playing well right now. But he's also still only 22 years old. So Emmanuel Rodriguez is striking out way too much once again. Walking a ton, though. Hitting the ball hard. So there's a lot of positives that are coming with that negative of the strikeouts. But again, a guy's still only 22. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking like this about the Saints more often and kind of treating them as, a picture of the Minnesota Twins fandom, but also kind of their own separate entity and something that we can appreciate and analyze and discuss as its own kind of things. And, not really be so chained to, only talking about prospect status or guys who might have a great major league opportunity. But this has been episode 2 of Twins Ticket. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. In addition to being available on YouTube, this should be available at whatever your podcasting platform of choice is. Maybe some of the smaller ones it hasn't reached yet, but I know the bigger ones that should be available there. So if you are interested in just the audio-only experience, that's available. I'm kind of, to be completely honest, I'm kind of enjoying this audio-only option. It's a lot less setup, a little bit more prep to be talking for this long on end. But it might seem weird, me as a video guy, not putting this out as a video. This is nice. I have a little bit less equipment I have to set up. I'm playing around with how I want to record this. So I'm actually recording this completely different way than I did the first one. So, hopefully this sounds okay. There's a lot of things I want to do on this show that, I'm just trying to get my feet under me here, get the ball rolling. Episode 2, I'm not trying to, make this a finished product yet. Hopefully you enjoyed it, but I think this show has a lot further to grow, and I'm excited to be on that journey, and I'm excited you're here with me, but that's probably enough blabbing for me. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again soon.